Howdy. Some time ago I made a video in which I also talked about the interplanetary magnetic field lines, the IMFs. And this is Earth, this is the Sun. And we are connected to the Sun via the IMF lines, the interplanetary magnetic field lines. And there has been talk about the Earth facing quiet, of why the Earth doesn't get really hit by eruptions. They always seem to happen on the limb of the Sun. And this is my explanation because our planet or magnetic field line seems to connect rather to the limb at the Sun. So if there's a sunspot, maybe I have to switch color. If there's a sunspot here, it doesn't do much because it's not really straight connected, but as the interplanetary magnetic field line connects to the Sun, then we get an eruption. And we have to understand that every other planet also has an interplanetary magnetic field line. And in this video, I think I was talking about that possibly the position of Venus seems to have influence on the eruption or the eruptions that are going on the eastern side of the Sun. It's the opposite. Earth is here, we are watching to the Sun. So obviously this is the right side and this is the left side. And this should be east, but that's west. And that's east. So rather recently, we have quite much eruptions happening from this side. I think also the X4 flare was from that side. I'm not too sure about that. But anyway, that was related to Venus. And now let's go over to the solar system scope or whatever that is. I will put a link below to this application, and I think we will get interrupted by some commercials. But anyway, this is now. So we are here and Venus is here on the left side, the western side. And it might make a connection, something like this. Because as we just have seen, the interplanetary magnetic field lines, they seem to curve into the Sun, or they spiral out, or they do the things at the same time. As I tried to explain many times, the energy goes both ways. So, one thing I figured when I went on with the time, now we're going onwards further. And we'll go to Venus thus. Let's go back again. Let's go to the actual time and we'll zoom out a little bit. So now Venus seems to connect to the left side still of the Sun from our perspective. In other words, if Venus catches up with Earth, the eruption site will come more and more straightly Earth directed. There could be some wise people doing some geometry and figure out the approximate delay of when the interplanetary magnetic field line connects to the sun and when that spot would be in front of Earth. In other words, when it would hit Earth. So now let's just have a look at what Venus does in its trajectory around the Sun and Earth. You have to speed it up a little bit. Just look at Venus. Venus catches up. In other words, if there's anything to that interplanetary magnetic field-like connection, maybe in January or at the end of the year already, Venus could be in such a position that its interplanetary magnetic field line connects to the Sun, and if the Sun would erupt, we would be in the spectrum of the eruption. So, with this thing in mind, I went back in time and took a screenshot of the same application you just saw. And we are looking at the year 1859, 1st of September. Yeah, the day the Carrington event happened. And then I started to draw some rather wild lines that may or that are representing the interplanetary magnetic field lines, and that's all done freestyle. Yeah, it took me a while in order to make them somehow look as they could, and even Mercury got a few dots. Yeah. And Mars. And also I somehow try to make it look or to be understandable as easy as possible. And I just started with every planet, and then I started to make the dots. And I think, or I assume that they might curve in at the end to some degree. And then I just took a look at approximately where they would make a connection to the Sun. And it turned out that at the Carrington event, it might be that we were in the Saturn vector and the Jupiter vector of the IMF connections. Yes, I call them vectors. I don't know if there's anything like this, because it seems Mars and Venus, they were on the opposites, so they quite unlikely made any connections straight to the Sun in front of us. Mercury, I don't know. Maybe, but somehow I think Mercury doesn't influence the Sun too much because it is already so close, and they got, in a way, used to each other. And Mars seems to be also, yeah, we talked about Mars. But Jupiter and Saturn might have made interplanetary magnetic field and connection to the sun. According to this drawing what I did, and if that's correct with the planets. And then I thought, why not? I just try to make the same thing for the time we have now. So this is 15 September 2024. We have Venus, and here you can see this line. I continued just in small dots. Maybe I should continue, but yeah, I don't know. I thought it would be maybe disturbing. And also another problem occurred, because not only do we have a different perspective, this goes back to the positions of the planets. I wanted to have all of them in the picture that somehow could fit in the picture. So I had to turn around the picture, but you don't see the vectors, right? Because it seems that Jupiter and Saturn and soon also Venus seem to make a connection to the sun. Let's zoom out just a little bit. So here we have the area where possibly 3 planets make the connection to the sun. So that's the spot, and from there is basically the vector of the eruptions, where we have Jupiter, Saturn, and Venus, making all the connection to the same place. And Earth is just in the vector. So now that's a rather sketchy drawing compared to on what I drew. So now let me show you something, because I tried now, I don't know, maybe 10 times to finish this picture. To finish, for example, this dotted line here, and draw the vectors and maybe put some text into the picture. So now let's try it together, because it doesn't work. Let's go just to this picture for an example. We click here and then we can draw. Yeah. We can change the color possibly. And then we can draw more. And then we can put everything back, and you know, you just saw it. Let's take this one. Let's draw something. Yeah, we can draw. Check it out. No problem. This card. And then we go to this one, where we want to have the vectors. Now let's click on this. And here it stops. It doesn't do anything anymore. So we have to go back. Go again to the picture. Okay. Now let's take this and try if we can draw something. Yes, it works. This card. Now let's go to this other one. Let's draw something here. Can we draw something on this? Yes. This card. Thank you. Now let's go to the one where we need still to draw the vectors. If it now freezes the picture, I won't show you again that I have to go back, but that's the point basically, that not only does it seem that three planets make a connection to the sun just in front of Earth, but also it's impossible to make this picture or finish this picture because the program doesn't let me do it. So now, can we do it now? No, it freezes. So here we are, frozen picture. It doesn't do anything. If you hear my fingers on the screen, doesn't do anything. Very interesting. But anyway, thanks. Bye.